This is how I look when I go out in public. Okay? And I've been doing it since late March or early March. Because I don't want to catch this shit. I really don't. And believe me, neither do you. Whether you're young or old, this thing doesn't care. Okay? Some people don't have any symptoms. Some people have mild symptoms. Well, define mild. So you don't have to go to the hospital? So you're not going to know. If you get this, it could be mild, it could be nothing, it could be real hard time breathing, it could be the worst flu you've ever got, or you could wind up in the ICU. So you do not want to get this shit. Coronavirus? I'll kick coronavirus's ass, man. Now, once upon a time, I went to the theater. The kind, where you have live actors. And my sister, she's on the theater committee, and she got us front row seats. And we're there, and the stage lights are shining up, and we see everything really clearly. And I noticed while these actors are talking, there's a fine spray of spit basically coming out, and you could see it all. I mean, it was disconcerting in a way. So what does that mean? It means that when people talk, they emit these droplets. And even when they breathe. Now, have you ever been out in the cold on a winter day and you see your breath? Well, all those are micro droplets. That's not air. That's condensation, little droplets of water from your lungs. Or if you're cleaning your glasses, it gets wet, right? And you can clean your glasses. That's all from your breath, okay? And if you have this disease, this virus, every one of those little droplets has that virus in it, okay? So it's not just whether you cough or sneeze, it's whether you talk and when you breathe that you're emitting these micro droplets. And it's these micro droplets that's how it spreads, okay? There is no other way that this disease spreads. It's all through micro droplets. Now, there's two ways you can catch it. And 90% of the time it'll be when you're around somebody that's, breathing, living basically, and you breathe in the droplets that they expel. And the other way you get it, maybe 10% or even less probably, is these droplets, they settle on stuff, okay? And if you happen to touch these things, and then later on, rub your nose or your mouth or your eyes, then you can get it. But if you breathe it in, it's pretty well damn sure you're going to get it, okay? And the only way that it can get into you is it can't penetrate the skin, okay? The only way it can get in is through your mouth, wet areas, your nose, and your eyes. If droplets hit the wet part of your eyes, you can get it that way also. And that's the only way you can get this thing. That's the only way it spreads, period. There's no other way. Of course, maybe if you kiss somebody, you'll get it that way too, if they have it. Okay, so the next section is going to be, how do we stop that? How do we stop this thing? Okay, so if the only way it spreads is through these droplets, micro droplets and bigger droplets, what's the solution? Okay, well, there's two things you want to try to accomplish here. One is you want to stop them from coming into you. And the other thing is if you have it, you don't want it to go out. Okay? And that's the solution. So how do we do that? Well, masks or some other type of covering. Masks? I don't need no stinking mask. Okay? So you've got two major kinds of masks. You got what's called it's called a respirator, or some people call it an N95, or this is an N100. And this fits around your face, and it has an exhaust valve for your breath going out. Okay. What this is mainly designed for is to not have it come in. Okay. Because the air goes through these two filters, and it filters out all these micro droplets. And here's another thing. This virus doesn't just fly around by itself. Okay. It's always encased in some kind of a fluid. Okay. It's always in these micro droplets. So this N95, they have another kind that's, white and round. You've seen it, I'm sure. It stops the droplets from coming in. And then you have your surgical mask, okay? And what this mainly does is it stops droplets from going out, okay? That's why they give these to sick people, all right? But, and the way it works is there's a little metal strip at the top here, and it has a couple of ear loops. So you put it on like this, okay? You form this metal loop around your nose, and then you pull the other part, the bottom part, over your chin, okay? Now this will stop micro droplets from going out, but it also does a halfway decent job of them coming in, okay? It's not going to filter the tiniest ones, but it'll filter anything that's halfway decent size. The real little ones, like your breath, it probably won't filter that, okay? So the other thing that you can do is, so those are the two types of masks. Your respirator or your N95 and your surgical mask. And the reason surgeons wear these is so that they don't throw spit into the person they're operating on. It's to stop any breath or germs or whatever from getting into the patient that they're working on. That's why they call it surgeon's masks, okay, because surgeons use them. Now, one thing you can do is if you have the round one, this one's a little bit big. If you have the round one, the paper round one, you can wear both, okay? You can put on your N95 round one and you put this over it. A lot of doctors are doing that. And then it saves your N95, makes it last longer. But anyway, that's the solution, okay? Stop it from going out, stop it from coming in. All right, and so that's the mask section. Now, you don't necessarily have to use one of these. You can use other things like a scarf, okay? If you wrap a scarf around your lower face twice, that will stop a lot of them. It'll stop a lot of it from going out and give you some protection coming in also. A bandana, but if you need multiple layers, okay? A bandana would work somewhat. It's not ideal. There's a lot of people making masks on now and face coverings. There's tight face coverings. There's all sorts. But the idea is, the bottom line on this is we want to put a barrier for those micro droplets, okay? Because that's the only way it spreads. So if we stop those, we can put an end to this thing. Okay, there's one thing about the N95 mask that I want to point out. This port on all of them freely lets out your breath when you exhale. So in order to use this, you need to be pretty much 100% sure that you do not have it, okay? Because if you have it and you wear one of these, you're not protecting anybody because your droplets is just going right out the exhaust thing. So if you think you may have it, you can still wear this, but put something over it, either a surgical mask on the little round ones or some kind of a bandana or something, so that your micro droplets going out will get caught in something and you don't infect other people, okay? Okay, so what is this virus? Well, it is small, tiny. If you have a cross-section of the human hair, okay? This is a cross-section of the human hair. The virus would be a tiny dot inside, okay? It's very, very small, very small. And what does it look like? Well, it is a single strand of RNA And you can think of RNA as half of a DNA molecule, okay? And this RNA is inside a shell, okay, an outside shell, which is proteins. And there's little things sticking out, okay? And this is round, so it's why they call it corona, because it looks like a crown, you see. And you cannot kill something that is not alive. This is not alive. It cannot reproduce by itself. So it bothers me a little when people say, I want to kill the virus. You cannot kill something that is not alive. However, you can inactivate it, okay? And by inactivating, you destroy or break apart this outside protein shell, and that will inactivate it because it connects two cells with these points, okay? And what it does is it connects to a cell and it goes inside the cell, and it has a, this RNA, okay, is like a building plan, okay, instructions. And it tells the cell, it says, cell, I want more of me, make more of me, okay? And the cell has no choice but to comply. So it makes more and more and more of these. And this is how it duplicates and increases, okay? I think it's mostly important that you keep your immune system healthy, okay? And this means exercise, keep your body going, you know, exercising. Lots of vitamin C, lots. Maybe 10 of those 1,000 milligrams a day, or 20, and space it out during the day. It's 10,000 IU or more if you can take it. And vitamin D is very important. And getting out in the sun is important, because vitamin D is made by your skin if you're in the sun. And last, no sugar. Sugar is very bad for your immune system, okay? And that's all I have on this. Thank you so much. Oh, high temperatures, well, first soap. Soap will pull apart this outside protein layer and inactivates the virus. And the other thing that inactivates it is heat. 170 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 minutes will inactivate totally, okay? Higher temperatures maybe not take so long, and lower temperatures take more time because it takes time. Okay. And remember when this first started, they said masks don't help? That was a lie. In fact, it was a criminal lie, because thousands of people died because of that lie. You know, they said masks don't help. Of course they help. And they've changed now. Now everybody's wearing a mask, right? If everybody had worn a mask when this thing first started, I don't think we'd even have a problem. You know, this thing would have been stopped in its tracks pretty much. There's some countries like the Czech Republic, everybody wears masks and have been for a while now, and they're totally under control there. They don't have many cases, new cases coming. So there's that. And, well, what happens if you don't wear a mask? Okay. I mean, some people are against it, some people refuse. What happens if you don't have it? Well, if you have coronavirus and you don't wear a mask, you risk infecting a bunch of people and killing some of them, all right? If you don't have it, you risk getting it, all right? So there's the 2 points to masks. Either infect other people and maybe kill them, or infect yourself and kill yourself. Or bring it home to your loved ones and infect them. Okay. My my nephew, I was getting on him he had to wear a mask, and he wasn't doing it. And my mother, she's elderly, and I was just totally worried that he would bring it home, because he went out, she stayed home, and he'd go out and visit his friends and come home, and I was just, ugh. So, wear the frickin' mask. And there's no mask shortage. You can get them on Amazon, eBay, there's plenty of them. And, I mean, even if you don't wear a mask, a scarf, whatever, but there's no shortage of masks. And you don't have to feel guilty about depriving hospitals and healthcare workers of masks, because healthcare workers, they don't go to the hardware store. Hospitals don't go to Amazon and order them off of eBay. They have their own suppliers where they get their masks, okay? There are plenty of masks right now. And it's no big deal. I mean, some of these masks are pretty stylish, You can get very creative. Put something over it, and so it's no big deal. All right, that's the deal on masks. Okay, let's talk about surface contact, which is the other way you can get this. And again, it's based on the microdroplets that have landed on something, and you touch it and transfer it to your face, to your mouth, or your nose or something, and then you'll catch it. Okay, so I want to address gloves. Gloves will give you a false sense of security, because you can just as easily touch something, pick up microdroplets, and transfer them to your face with gloves or without. They don't really help you unless you're very religious about it, and you wear a set of gloves into an area like a grocery store or something, and when you leave, you take off those gloves. Okay, but in the meantime, it's the same as your hands. If you touch your face with it, it's the same. Okay, so. But this is a relatively minor way that I believe you can catch this, maybe 10%. Okay. Now, wash your hands, right? Everybody says wash your hands. Well, they don't really explain exactly why, and it's to get rid of the virus if it gets on your hands. Okay. Soap will inactivate it, for starters. And if you're washing your hands, it just, you wash it off, it goes down the drain. So it's generally a good thing. And, but you need to understand, how it works. I mean, if you're at home and you keep washing your hands, that's useless. It doesn't do anything for you. It keeps your hands clean. But I believe they came out with this as a type of a placebo, okay? Wash your hands. Everybody's saying wash your hands. And what it is it gave people a sense of control over, this monster that's among us. And okay, if I wash my hands, okay, that it made people feel better, okay? But it's not the be-all, end-all, okay? It's not going to stop you from catching coronavirus if you don't understand the whole process of it. Some of you are old enough to remember back in when we had the Cold War and everybody's afraid of a nuclear attack. Well, back then it was called duck and cover, right? And you see these little videos or movies of kids in school, and they're climbing underneath their desk and covering, duck and cover. Well, that's pretty useless if you're unfortunate enough to be close to a nuclear bomb. That ain't going to do nothing for you, okay? So there is that. Now, the other alternative to washing your hands all the time is disinfectant or, hand sanitizer. When I leave a grocery store, I hose down my hands. What makes a really good sanitizer is 1 part bleach to 20 parts water, okay? And I hose down everything. I mean, it goes in the back of my car, and it all gets hosed down. The money gets hosed down, my hands. I wipe the outside of my mask, and so everything gets disinfected. I mean, there's no way to wash your hands when you're out and about, right? And it works really well. It'll inactivate the virus, bleach solution in about 30 seconds, okay? So that's it on washing your hands. Yeah, it's good, but you know, 24-hour washing your hands isn't going to do it. You need to wash if you've been in an area where that could be. Wash your hands to get rid of it, and supposedly well enough, 20 seconds or something. All right, that's wash your hands. Now, what makes this disease so fucked up? The fact that you can spread this for up to 20 days and not have any symptoms, that's what. Okay, some people have no symptoms, but they have it, and if they're out and about without a mask, they're spreading it, okay, infecting other people. That's what really messes this thing up, why it's so messed up. And this is why they came up with the social distancing. The theory was that, these micro droplets, the bigger ones, would drop out of the air, okay, within 6 feet, supposedly. But the reality is that there's tinier droplets that go a lot further than that, okay, like your breath, for instance, travels a long ways. So if everybody's wearing masks, then I don't think social distancing is that critical anymore, okay, because there's no micro droplets going out, or very few, and the ones that do go out are tiny, which would go, social distancing wouldn't help you then anyway, okay. And they've recently found, there's a study that this thing has actually attached itself, these micro droplets have attached themselves to pollution in the air. So, I mean, how far does pollution travel? And they have done studies and found it in ventilation ducts. In fact, that's how it spread in one apartment building. Actually spread through the plumbing. The gases when people were flushing toilets and what have you. So there is that. Social distancing was their alternative to masks back in the day. They had to, wash your hands and social distancing. That was supposed to cure it, but really not. Okay. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I've just got a few more things. Most of the country was or is in what they call lockdown, right? Which is kind of a joke because you can still go to the grocery store, you can still go to the drugstore, hardware store. You can go out in the country. You can pretty much go anywhere you want still. So I don't know. I don't really see the point of it. But anyway, they did close some stores. Like I said, I don't really see the point. If you're going to have grocery stores and hardware stores and all that open, I mean, regular businesses should be open too. I mean, I just went down and bought some steel. And everybody in there is wearing a mask, and it's no problem. They wouldn't let you in the place without a mask. So it's kind of stupid. And a lot of our, government dictators, so to speak, have really gone overboard on this. I mean, it's crazy what they've done. Down in Venice, there's a skate park, and they filled it up with sand, As long as everybody's wearing a mask, it's not that big a deal, okay? So can we open the country? I say yeah, okay? If everybody's diligent about this mask deal, okay? The only type of business that I don't think should open is restaurants, because you cannot eat while you're wearing a mask, okay? But restaurants can do takeout, and a lot of them are now. I have a friend who will not eat outside of her home. She won't eat restaurant food, she won't eat fast food. And I asked her, well, why not? She goes, well, I don't like expectorant on my food. You know what expectorant is? That's spit. So I believe cooks and service personnel, waitresses and what have you should be wearing masks anyway, so they don't, spit on people's food by talking, for instance. What else? So yeah, let's reopen it, and everybody wear a mask, and not half-assed either. I see people out there with, half-assed bandanas and stuff. You have to really be diligent about this, as long as you understand why you're doing it, and that you don't want these micro droplets to go out in the air. And it's going to take all of us working as a team to do this. And if the virus can't spread, it's going to die out. Okay? It's very simple. It's logical. But if we don't really commit to this thing and, really do it, it's just going to keep going, So it's up to you. Each and every one of you, spread the message. Maybe a miracle will happen. It'll bring us all closer together. Hopefully that's happening anyway. And if you go to CaboFTL.com, I'll put a link down the bottom. I've got a blog post that has a lot of information on it, okay? Treatment, things you can take, like lots of vitamin C, D, all sorts of other stuff. Lots of really, really good information if you care to check it out. So, good luck and be safe. I'm doing
fucking display everywhere over here.
Huh?
Fucking wind.
What happened?
The wind.
I'm doing a video right now, but I'm going to shut it off. You can look at it. I want to do my video. I can't move this camera at all. Gosh. I fucked that all up the first time.